So now you know what happens when you don't have a producer and someone rings the doorbell because you left the studio door open. Anyway, I apologize for that. I'm going to leave it in. It's sort of funny, and it's a nice little break for this last video that I'm going to share with you, which is disgusting and despicable. And again, if you didn't catch the first little video, this particular video is designed to show you some of the things I discovered while researching the murder, open source research, the murder of Rob Reiner, which was just a few days ago, as you know, almost a week ago. And I wanted to find out who was close to Rob Reiner, what his neighborhood was like. Was there altercations prior to this? I'm starting to find out little things like people knew that his son was very unstable and violent, and they would often have confrontations. And there's proof of that now coming out. So I started to dig a little deeper, and then I found that Billy Crystal roast thing from 2000, and I thought, again, you know what I thought about that. So I want you to listen to this. Now, it's interesting because in the Billy Crystal video, he was joking about the fact that Rob Reiner was or could be. See, this is what we never know, but this happens all the time, especially in public. You'll hear this and you'll see it. It's like some of the rap songs that have come out exposing Diddy. And sometimes it's tongue in cheek, sometimes it's funny, sometimes they're serious, and you're like, what is that? Are they for real? So Billy Crystal here, 25 years ago, in the first video that I just showed you, is describing Rob Reiner as a pedophile and making light of it. Nobody's saying he is. Well, Billy Crystal is. Billy Crystal is joking about it, and I often wonder if these jokes are just to get things off people's chests. Now, hear me out on this, because what I'm about to play you now from Al Franken, it's horrific. And before I get to it, I'll say this. Whether Rob Reiner was a victim, which would have been horrible, which is the Billy Crystal thing, right? Or I'm sorry, it's the Al Franken thing. I'm about to play it for you. Or maybe he engaged in some of this behavior in later years. Who knows? But if you take the Billy Crystal roast info and what I'm about to play you from Al Franken, it's truly horrific. And, you know, I was talking about some of it on social media yesterday, and I said, first of all, it's as abnormal as you can get when you think about it. Does it get any more abnormal or uncomfortable than this? Then, in the case of Al Franken, it's horrific because if anything Al Franken said was true and he knew about it, why would you share it like that in front of the world, in public, about someone you considered a friend? And then if none of it is true, why would you write a joke so horrible? This is what I mean.
This is terrible. This is one of the worst catastrophes in the world.
See, as a baby, Rob was routinely beaten by his father, Carl. On a typical night, Carl would slip into Rob's bed, roll him over, swab him down.
Okay. You let me know if you think this is normal. You let me know if Ken, well, you just don't understand comedy. I mean, Al Franken he's a comic genius. I've always thought he was talentless, and then I realized that even more when he became a senator. Later in life, he became a U.S. senator for 9 years. And isn't it interesting that he still became a U.S. senator and this video was floating around? You see how it works? This continues because we allow it to. These men and women, whether what you're hearing now is accurate or it's alluding to real crimes or horrible things, these people are untouchable. And they're untouchable because of their money, their links to power, and what they know about others and what they're willing to do to protect it or themselves. And they are untouchable because we, the people, won't touch them. We're afraid. We're afraid. So we normalize this. We normalize this. Like I said, if you were at a birthday party and you were being honored at a birthday party and your friend said this, what the hell, right? And then they say, well, it's a roast. Yeah, I know how roasts work. But I also know that there are multiple actual reports throughout Hollywood, the music industry, and the halls of government across the world on a regular basis that describe the horror that Al Franken is laughing about and that the audience is okay with.
And say something like, I'm thinking about hiring Maury Amsterdam to play Buddy Sorrell. What do you think? Well, the success of the Dick Van Dyke Show changed things dramatically. Carl started inviting many of his famous friends to son.
This is terrible.
Okay. Is it normal? First, the allegations that he was brutally raped, which you're not allowed to say on social media. Just like pedophile, you're not allowed to say on social media, which is fascinating to me that you can't talk about these things in social media. You have to be very careful because of the AI and the algorithms and the community standards. You see, what Al Franken just said, that's on Comedy Central, on an old Comedy Central platform, 25 years ago. That's a video from 25 years ago. So just be reminded that that's 25 years ago. It isn't like Hollywood just woke up and got all perverted and is doing horrible things to children. This is common knowledge. And the more you research and study history, it's been going on a couple thousand years, if not more. It's part of the process with people at that level of power. They do anything they want, and we allow it. That's the issue. That's the issue. You want to know why there's censorship? You want to know why there's people being deplatformed, people being targeted? You want to know why the FBI it's been proven they've planted child pornography on political targets because it's so horrific? And then it damages So you see, the FBI will take the time to threaten a journalist and say, look, if you keep going down this road, we're going to kill your reputation. People are going to find the most horrible things on your computer and your family's computers, and then you're done. Ask Cheryl Atkinson about that. And if you question it, just go look at the congressional testimony, which is record. So the FBI has time to do that, but we're still getting bullshitted on the Epstein files. Do you see it now? Or is it, come on, Ken, it's so close to Christmas. Can't we just let so what? So what if they're doing that? Just let it go. It's so sad. It's so sad. I'm telling you, the midterms it's going to be a political bloodbath. And this Epstein thing that just happened just drove it home. Just drove it home. A bunch of photographs that most of us that have been doing research have seen already. You want to wow me, FBI? You want to prove transparency? Kash Patel, spelled with a capital C, Kash Patel. You want to wow us? Then show us Anthony Weiner's laptop from his arrest. Or is that sealed now? Because he did time for pedophilia. Is that no longer an issue? Show us Hillary Clinton's laptop, which does exist, but that's also sealed. Or is that off limits too? Of course it is. Who are those people? They are the rich, the powerful. Some of them are sick, they're perverted. And we all wonder, as working class Americans, in my case, just a middle class dude, we all wonder, or we did until we became awake. We all wonder, how do they get away with it? Because people at that level of power and wealth have been permitted by the masses to get away with anything they choose to do since the beginning of time. That's how. That's how. That's why grown men don't come forward. That's why adults don't come forward. That's why. Because they know when they need people to back them up, those people will not be there. They know politicians talk a good game. How many press conferences have we seen about Epstein? How many times has Dan Bongino on his podcast, which was one of the most successful podcasts, I'm sure he will be again one of the top podcasters. If he's not given some NDA that goes on for the next 300 years, where if you mention any of this, we'll put you in jail. And then off the record, someone whispers in his ear, hey, you want to get shot in the throat? Okay, then shut up. There's so many of us, but many of us are distracted. So it's much easier to watch a short segment like this and say, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're tin hat. What are you doing to the memory of Rob Reiner? I'm not doing anything to anybody about anything. All I'm doing is pursuing the truth and exposing the truth, like many others are doing or attempting to do, and many are misleading you. They're trying to get you to look elsewhere. But I said at the first of the year, leading up to the inauguration of Donald Trump, and my audience knows it. And if you're new to this video, I could certainly use subscriptions, $5.99 a month. I know it's on Subscribestar. It's not on something fancy like, one of the big brand names, the ones that are owned by people that cover up for this stuff sometimes. No names to be mentioned, but. So anyway, sorry that the two videos were separate. I mean, it was so embarrassing when I thought I hit pause and in the first video, and then I cleared my throat, which I'm getting very good at not doing on the air. Thank you very much. That used to be one of the biggest complaints when I started podcasting. Because when I'm on the radio, I can mute it. But it's too much of a pain to mute the microphone when you're podcasting, because I'm looking at a whole bunch of little buttons because I produce my own show. So I take this mouse, which I still don't know how to work. It's a learning curve. 10 years down the road, I'm going to be working this mouse. And I try to keep the show going, and I hit the wrong button. So in the first podcast with Billy Crystal, with the Billy Crystal soundbite, all I did is pause the sharing. I didn't pause the recording. And I never pause the caring. Seriously. And yeah, I have a sense of humor. Not about that stuff, though. Not about that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see, because I'm going to post this wherever I can. This particular one, less than 15 minutes. I'll throw it up on some just random things just to see what people say. Some people will see that it's a roast and they'll just attack me. What are you going after Reiner now? Blah, blah, blah. They won't watch it. Most people don't watch. Most people that comment do not watch the full anything. They don't watch the full version of anything. And anybody who's been heavily trolled, and I really haven't. I mean, if I was, I'd have better algorithms. I'd have more of a presence, but I don't, I'm not even big enough to get the trolls. Not that I want trolls, but I know they help the algorithm. What I do want, and I pray for, is more subscriptions and support from people like you. More people like you that said, okay, here's a guy. He tells the truth. He's been in the media for a while, highs and lows. He's started a podcast 3 years ago, which you guys helped launch, which is still going. And there is no political ad campaign. There is no other country. There's nobody that has stepped in. Well, there's a couple that said, if you would just take your podcast in this direction, we could do this. And I said, well, if I take it in that direction, then I may not be able to talk about that and that. And then they said, names I'm not going to mention, well, that's the point. Do you really need to talk about that and that? And I said, well, yeah, that's the truth. And they said, well, that's your problem. If you play along, you're going to get a lot further. Now, I'm not mentioning those people for a reason, but I'm proud of what I did. It's been uncomfortable. It's been a challenge. It's kind of a new thing for me, a new vibe for me. It's certainly a new income level. I mean, like I said, tell the truth, become a target. Tick someone off about, just say the wrong word and they're done. And that's okay. Again, you're either going to follow the truth or you're not. And everyone knows that's what's killing the Republic of the United States right now. Truth is not allowed. Critical thinking, not allowed. Free speech, not allowed. Now, some of the big people are finding that out now. But as we're finding out, some of the biggest podcasters were paid to target smaller podcasters. Not me. I'm way too below. I'm below the... I'm not even on the horizon. Radar doesn't even pick me up. That's how low I am in this ecosystem, right? But what I've watched for the last several years, months in particular, I've watched some of the biggest names in media, podcasting, radio, and television go after other big names. And the only pattern I see is, well, the people they're targeting are exposing the truth. And that's when you know who's in the club and who isn't. Again, go back and watch the Billy Crystal thing I did, and then rewatch this. Share it with your friends. And say, oh my God. So, and now I forget his name because I can't stand the guy. But he's either let me just see if I can find it. Give me a second. I'll see if I can find it because I'm not sharing anymore. So yeah, Al Franken. I don't know why I spaced out on his name, but anyway, so yeah, I should still be up on the screen there. Good. Okay, so Al Franken is either the coldest, most evil piece of garbage if what he said about Rob Reiner was true. Can you imagine? Who makes light of that? And then if it even wasn't true, he's still a piece of evil garbage because he was talking about the rape of a child and then the gang rape of a child as a punchline for a bunch of wealthy Hollywood people. So there it is. And the only good thing about finding that video was now you understand what I'm talking about for people who don't have the time to do the research, or people that think, oh, sometimes you're so dark with that, the child trafficking stuff. Well, it's constantly month to month. The drug and the child trafficking are the top two in cartel revenue. Something else the FBI won't talk about because they're not going to do anything about it. Now, one of the biggest FBI child trafficking researchers, he was murdered about 6 years ago. Yeah, and they called it a drug raid. But it was more than that. Again, there you go again, Ken, with your conspiracy theories. Your theories. Okay, whatever. Have fun looking at all the redacted files that were just dumped. A big FU from the Trump administration. You're never going to see the files. You're never going to see the names. You're not going to see anything that hasn't already been publicly investigated by people like Whitney Webb or any number of other people that have deep dived on this, written extensive books. I have a whole shelf you cannot see. Which way is it? Yeah, it's this way. I have a whole shelf of these books with footnotes and references and sources. And then I go to the footnotes. I go, oh my God, this was an actual case. I'm reading the court case. I can't believe this senator is still walking around. Because you and I, whether we know it or not, and the other 350 million of us have said, you know what? That's what the rich and powerful do. And they're in our government, and that's just the way it is. So, and keep in mind, that was 25 years old. This is nothing new. Okay. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but there's much more to the Rob Reiner thing. Okay. Now, in the case of Charlie Kirk, totally unrelated to child trafficking completely, but there's much more to that too. And you know it. You know it. And you can always tell who watches the video, no matter how painful it might be, because I don't know how to edit. Well, actually, I do. I just don't like to. I don't have time. I really don't. I don't have a crew. I don't have time, and I work too much. So, but again, I'll make one more ask for your donations. Feel free. You can do it. I have no money making platforms like Patreon and all that other stuff. Give, go, take, whatever that thing's called, whatever it's called. I don't have any of that. It's just real simple. If you want to make a donation, just click on the subscribe star thing, and many people have, and thank God for that. Thank you for that. And if you want to invite people to subscribe, that's really a plus. And again, I'm not on a big platform for the reasons that there's so many people on the big platform, and the big platforms control algorithms. And that's what AI does. So AI has already either taken me off of YouTube with this video because of the word rape or pedophilia, or they've slowed it down because of certain words that are mentioned. Slow down the algorithm or alter the rotation of where and when this would come up. Because this, I think this is a massive, massive story. The fact that two of the most well-known comedians in Hollywood from Saturday Night Live, one who was a senator for 9 years, Al Franken, And then, of course, Billy Crystal, two of the most well-known, associated in detail that Rob Reiner was either a victim of horrible, horrible abuse as a child, or jokingly implied he was an abuser. And he was murdered less than a week ago. Let's see what Fox News does. I'm sure they'll get right on it, like they did with the stolen election. Anyway, I do hope you have a great day. I have more content, less dark. It's not dark. I shouldn't have wore a dark shirt, but I'm running around. I'm crazy. I'm crazy today. My son's at work. My beautiful wife is at work. I have, other than this podcast, I have the day off, but I have Christmas shopping, which I have not done. I put it off to the last minute. And we do have a guest or two coming for the holidays. One of them is named Santa Claus. And I have this list of things I have to do. And yeah, I just wish I had a staff of 78 and 2 jets. No, I'm just kidding. I don't. Or maybe, it would be fun. It would be cool. I don't lose sleep over it, but it would be cool. It might be cool to have that kind of money. I don't know. It'd be cool. Anyway, I will talk to you soon, and thank you again for your support. You people that have stayed with me since September of 22, I thank God for your support every day. I am truly blessed. I have a small, loyal audience, and it is truly amazing. It's truly amazing. I could have a totally cruddy day, and then I know this sounds silly, but anybody who's been in this position, when you have people that support you for anything, whether it's work or maybe you're a fellow podcaster, and you just see one wonderful comment, just one little comment. It's just one comment that says, "Oh, I'm so glad you spoke about that because, my family member this, that, whatever," about any topic. And that just makes my day. All right. That's enough. All righty.